Hello integrals and differentials, it's Dole. Welcome back to my kitchen this Thursday, and today I'll be serving you a review on the next expansion set. It's called Breakthrough. It's coming out November 4th, that's less than 3 weeks away from this video. Over 160 cards, so we're gonna see tons and tons of new cards, new strategies, which cards are good, which cards are bad. We're gonna find out in this video. So, okay. First of all, I'm going to talk about it in the point of view as if I was playing against this card, because that's a good way to gauge how strong the card is. So, you know, if you're afraid of it, then it's probably something worth worrying about. And we're not going to talk about, like, the Bulbasaurs. We're going to talk about the Venusaurs, because they're more important. We're not going to talk about the Squirtles. We're going to talk about Wartortle, maybe. No, we're just going to talk about the Blastoise. Those end cards, just to keep this video short, because I know this can go over an hour long. We don't have time for that, Donald. So, let's get started. We're going to start off with Pinsir. Unfortunately, I would love Scyther. But moving on topic, Heavy Suplex. If your Pokemon is really fat, this thing does a lot of damage. So that's the only case I'm afraid of this card. Otherwise, low hit points. Only, well, depends on how many retreat costs I have. So if it showed up and the conditions met, okay. Otherwise, yeah, Pinsir. Who cares? Who cares? So moving on, there's Simisage. Now, this thing's supposed to go in the fire deck. Look at this first attack. Get 3 fire energies from the discard, put it onto your hand. So it's helpful for a fire deck who discards tons of fire energies. And a second attack, colorless. So if there are lots of cards in your opponent's hands, you're gonna die, because this could one-shot, two-shot you. And yes, if this card showed up in the conditions met, I would definitely be afraid of this card. And it would help fire decks take care of their water weakness. So yeah, this thing's dangerous. Now, there's also a fire version. There's also a water version. If we see it, we're just gonna skip it because they're the exact same thing. So keep that in mind. Moving on, we're gonna talk about Vivalion. Vivalion, flip a coin if heads. Then you get an energy from your deck, put it onto one of your Pokemons, and it's gonna charge up like 1 or 2 turns faster. And it's dangerous because you can unload your stronger attacks quickly. So if these things start showing up, yes, I would be afraid they fit into many different decks, because it doesn't matter which energies. It's just as a natural grass type. But energy acceleration just sitting on a bench, it's dangerous. Would I be afraid? Yeah, if this thing showed up. So moving on, Typhlosion. This card's a bit weird. So both attacks are relatively dangerous. First, discard 5 cards from the top of your deck, which hurts you. And if it's fire energies, it pretty much will kill whatever the active Pokemon is. 80 damage for every single fire energy, so I think it can KO depending on, you know, how well the deck is shuffled. So it's kind of bad for both players. I'm not sure why that is. But second attack, Flare Destroy, 130 damage. That's high damage potential. You have to discard energy, which there's the new burning energy that helps it out, and it discards one of your opponent's energy. So if this thing did show up and was ready to go, I would be afraid. I wouldn't expect it to show up because it's a stage 2. But if it did, okay, I'm worried. Now, Octillery. Wow, this is pretty much a free Shaman every turn. People who don't have Shamans, here you go. This, you may draw up to 5 cards into your hand. It's not 6, but given how cheap this card's gonna be, you could reuse it every single turn. So if this thing was sitting on your bench, or your opponent's bench, it would be scary, because they can just set up much quicker than you, and this card is easy to set up. Fits in many different decks as well. So, kind of like Vivalion. Okay, so great card. Moving on. Simipour. Oh, remember that Simisage? Yeah, this is why we're going to skip it. We already talked about it. Technically. Then, Vanillux. Both of the attacks are very annoying. First attack, low damage, but nobody can play support cards. I need support cards. They're in every single one of my decks. I need them to work, so if I can't do them, then I'm going to be stuck, and I'm going to be very angry at this ice cream cone. Second attack, Deep Frozen. Flip a coin. If heads, you're paralyzed. If tails, you're confused. It's a lose-lose situation, guys. So if this thing showed up, not going to be very happy. If it did show up, it's probably going to be a team deck. So, moving on, Gengar. Man, this is the scariest art of Pokemon. But attack, first attack, annoying. Poisoned, all my Pokemon take 1 damage. I can handle that. I wouldn't like it, but I can handle it. Second attack, if one of my Pokemons have 3 damage or less, only the active one, it gets instantly KO'd. So whenever you hear instant KO, you gotta be worried. And for 2 energies, yeah, Gengar, we know with a Magma Stadium, this thing was gonna be scary. So yes, I'm afraid. Zubat. Oh, just 1 energy? Now you gotta be now you gotta be worried. Now, first attack, technically it does only 60 damage. Second attack, technically it does 60 damage. And it goes back into your hand if it's a Tails coin flips. I actually wouldn't be afraid of it. It's got low hit points, damage isn't there, so yeah, sorry, Swobat. Like, all the Swoobats haven't been that good. No, it's just how it is. So, moving on, I'm gonna mispronounce it. We're talking about this card, Behem. Don't make fun of me for that. So, this is also a bad card because the damage isn't there. Brain Bullet, if you get tons of energies, doesn't matter what energies, you can just hit one of your opponent's Pokemons for it. 24 energies, so you still need a lot of energies to actually be a good bench sniper. I'm not sure Behem was gonna stay alive, so would I be afraid of it? Not really. Not really. Not really. Okay, Sandslash. This card is not magical enough. Doesn't have any cool attacks. It just does sort of damage. I guess because it's colorless, it would fit in other decks, but otherwise, no. Sorry, Sandslash. You're not cool enough. Meloita. Okay, this card's a bit funky. It is fighting. It needs a Psychic Energy, but for this attack, well, I wouldn't say need, but if it does, 110 damage. And the first attack is a bit of, I guess it charges up really quickly. And if you give it like something like a Focus Sash, this thing could be a nightmare. So I'm going to keep my eye out for this. If I see this, I would definitely be worried. I'll definitely be worried because there might be a magical setup for this. Okay. And Cacturn, not magical enough. Not cool enough. Sorry, Cacturn. We're just going to skip you. Yeah, Zoroark. Oh. Okay, Impersonate. You get to switch with your Pokemon to whoever's inactive and put it onto the front, so Zoroark can immediately just rotate. It's kind of like a free retreat. Mind Jack, okay, only 30 damage to all your bench Pokemon. Bench only, not active. And the only active takes only 10. But if you had a huge bench, this thing would be problematic. Okay, this is not why this card is dangerous. It's because of this card. Foul Play, pick one of your defending Pokemon's attack. Don't worry about the retreat of the other cost. Use it. So yeah, I can just magically pop up in front. It's like, hey, I like this attack. Boom, and I think this card is going to be annoying. Or it's definitely going to be fun to use to see works. So, yep, awesome card. Grand Bull. Okay, most Grand Bulls haven't been dangerous. I think this one may be. Flip a coin. Okay, it's gated by the coin flip. I was a little worried, but if it's heads, you lose 3 cards from your hands. So if this happens to be heads twice, like maybe with a trick coin, you lose your entire hand, and you may be stuck. So if I saw this, I would definitely be afraid. So I've never been afraid of a Grand Bull, this time I am. And Florges, support types, I'm not a big fan. I like power, I like damage. So this thing, well, I guess we're gonna have to wait that. This thing, your opponent's attacks, we're pretending that we're going against this. It costs 1 fairy energy less, so there are tons of Florges. And just like pretending it could attack, yes it can. This attack could be completely free. So depending on which fairy Pokemon setting up, you can just expect tons of damage really quickly due to less energy cost. So yeah, it'd be dangerous. It'd be dangerous, but there's a Florges break. So a 4th evolution, and this was the support thing I was talking about. 30 damage heal, and you don't have to worry about special conditions at all. So 30 is low. Special conditions, I guess if it was a Vanillix, I'd be afraid. I'm not too excited about this one, guys, but maybe the second part. So I'll keep an eye out. This thing probably has a pretty cool deck. Okay, moving on. Okay, and now Xerneas, a new one, and this, look at this attack, is expensive. If it showed up, I was like, yeah, this thing's not gonna charge up. But if it did, and there are if somehow my opponent got like Pokemon of every different type on the bench, Rainbow Force can pretty much KO. Like with the Sky Field. Some way, somehow this works. Yes, I would be afraid. And Power Creation, expensive. Doesn't have that much hit points to deserve all those energies, but it can KO me. If it somehow healed, 160 damage is, you can't ignore that. You can't ignore that. So if it showed up, I keep an eye out for it. But I laugh at it too. So, okay. Now, we have Haxorus. It's a stage 2, but it is a very darn good stage 2. First attack, technically, does 100 damage. You can't unload it until you use an actual attack, which you can use Sharp Fang or Dragon Pulse. Doesn't even have to be fighting or steel. But it would be awesome if it was fighting or steel. And you have to discard, well, the top 3 cards of your deck. But this power for this much energy is strong. So if I saw this, I'd be afraid. Okay? And moving on, we have Noctowl. Not magical enough. all his attack. We're gonna skip it. Sorry, knocked out. You're not cool. You're not cool. Ursaring, same deal. You show up, I just laugh at you. Unless you did get 4 energy somehow. Then we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. So now we have Smeagol. Smeagol, I would have to try it. I would have to try it, but basically it means you could just mix together Pokemon's like different elements, fire, water, lightning, and put them all in one deck. And then if you had the right energies in your discard, you could easily just swap and rotate between the two if there was a way to set it up. We'll see if it works well until we just have to try it out. So keep it in the back of your mind. If I saw it, I may be afraid, just maybe. Okay, Floatstone. There is a this thing's been around for a while. It's been pretty awesome, so it's nice that's coming back. But it works really well with certain decks. So I'm glad it's back. Not gonna be too afraid, depending on what deck it shows up there. And now we have Bridget. This is Pokemon Fan Club, the extreme version. So Pokemon Fan Club can get you 2 basic Pokemons. This thing can only get you 1. But you have a choice. You can pick out 3 regular basic Pokemons. While Pokemon Fan Club would only give you 2. And one of those could be a EX Pokemon. I think Fan Club's going to be better. But, you know, we'll see, we'll see. Basically, the second effect would be worrisome. So, that's Bridget. Parallel City. This thing is going to ruin my Skyfield decks, guys. So, you can squeeze your opponent's bench to 3. That's going to suck really, really badly. So, I'm already afraid of this one, guys. The red side's not going to be too bad. You can choose which side, the red side. I mean, you could just... If you had tons of damage, you could just blow past this. But blue side, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. So I definitely need ways to get rid of the stadium because this thing is a nightmare. Skyfield. I have to bring that Ninetales back. Okay, Glalie. First attack. Okay, flip a coin. It buys time. All EX Pokemons, their first attack is usually to buy time. So it's just the same thing. Instant cooling. If this thing had a muscle band and the conditions met, this thing could instant KO EX Pokemons and could charge it up in 2 turns. Double colors. Water energy? Yes, I'm afraid if this thing showed up, I'd be worried. Now, if this thing showed up, I'd be a little worried too. Now, the condition is it has to be nearly halfway dead. And that's a weird condition to meet. But if it was halfway dead, your active Pokemon's gonna die. 250 damage is gonna go. But 100 damage is already crazy. So, yeah, I would say it's a bit funky. But it's a threat. It's a threat. If it's a threat, and I'm afraid, it's scary. So, moving on. Mewtwo, one of 2 Mewtwo's. This thing is supposed to go with the other Mewtwo. You're gonna see why when we talk about it, but Photon Wave, 30 damage. Okay. Double colors energy. Okay. And you do 30 less damage. It helps survive, just like any other first EX Pokemon's worth. Now, Cyburn, it just does lots of damage for tons of energies. Okay. Nope, not too cool. And now we have this Mewtwo. What an expensive energy cost. Fighting energy, and psychic. Okay. If this showed up and it got charged up, I actually would be worried because it can instant KO you. 200 damage with the stadium, and it bypasses through everything. So you have a Regice. Goodbye. Don't depend on that Regice. Don't depend on. I guess that's the. Well, I guess if you did see a Beautifly, you get the idea. Nothing's gonna protect you from this thing. It's Mewtwo. It's Mewtwo. So okay, and okay, there is the second part. We're gonna talk about that now. So you still want to keep on? Go with the other half of the set for the second part? Of course you are. So, Parasect. Just sit for a moment and stare at this. You pick 3 of your Pokemons, pick 3 different basic energies, fire, lightning, and like water, and put it into each of them. Okay, I'm gonna stare at it. I don't know how it could be pulled off, but if there's a way, this thing could be spectacular or not. I just don't see it yet. Don't keep my eye out. So, moving on, we have Chestnut. It's a mediocre card. Big energy cost, big numbers. Okay, stage 2. We have those. We have those already. But let's take a look at it. It's got a break evolution. Spike Lariat, 60 damage. If the defending Pokemon's hurt, 120 damage. Big numbers, big energy costs. Okay, okay. Adamine Team Press, 100 damage. 4 energy costs. And as a bonus, you take 20 damage less next turn. Still mediocre. Okay, it's got a break evolution, which is, well, big numbers are scary, guys. So, 190 hit points. Wow, that's more than an EX Pokemon. It can use his previous attacks, like we talked about, being a break. But Tough Hammer, you can do 160 damage. KO potential, and 30 damage to one of your bench Pokemon and yourself. So overall, big numbers are scary. If I saw it, I'd be afraid. Would you want to try to pull it off? Sure, why not? Why not? We'll see if it actually performs or not, but time will tell. Now, Gogolt, you're not magical enough, Gogolt. I'm sorry. We're going to skip you. We're going to skip you. Houndoom. Okay, so first attack is kind of like an insult. Doesn't really do anything to the field. Your opponent just loses 2 cards off their deck. It's like, why'd you do that? Like, you could have hurt me. You could have done something, but I just lose 2 cards off your deck. Whether it's good or bad, it's just random, so it's okay. But Grand Play, 50 damage. 50. You're an EX Pokemon, Houndoom. What's wrong with you? I was like, I don't know. But hey, it can attach to Fire Energy for discard to one of your bench Pokemon. So that's Energy Acceleration. That's always awesome. But 50 damage? It's like, okay, I got it. So we go to its Mega Evolution, Mega Houndoom. Infernal Fang, 80 damage. Okay, that's better. 2 energies. But you're a Mega Pokemon. So discard all your Fire Energies, which there's a way to manage. Does 160 damage. Chestnut level, or Chestnut Break level. So that's KO potential. So right there, alright, you redeemed yourself. You have an awesome Mega Evolution. So this thing is going to be scary. Definitely. Now, Simisear. Oh, have I talked about you before? Yeah, I'm sure I did. Simisear. I'm sure I did. So we're going to move on to Seeking. And, okay. If there was some way to hurt your own Seeking and heal it on the same turn, the healing part I know, the hurt, I don't know. If there's some way that I haven't thought about it too much yet, but there was What Horn, 1 energy, 90 damage, then I'd be afraid, because anything energy efficient, like maybe a new Miltank is dangerous. I just don't see how you can do it yet, but it may exist. So moving on, we have Starmie. Not magical enough, not big enough number. Sorry, Starmie, you're not in this expansion at all. And Polyon, alright. So this, I think this is gonna be good. Once you have these Empoleons out on your bench, you get 20 more damage for your basic Pokemon. It's going to be EX Pokemons, preferably, and you can really juice up the damage. Up to 80. Works with maybe something like a Latios, Muscle Bands. So, I think they're going to be a great decks with this, guys. Got to keep an eye out for this one. If I saw these building up on the bench, yeah. Scary. Now, Abomasnow. Big energy cost, big numbers. Okay, you're not cool, man. Abomasnow, you're not cool. Moving on. We got Magnus. Oh, Blastoise, you're back. Basically, there is no limit on lightning energies you can attach. If you got Pokemons that can use them, they don't even have to be lightning Pokemons. I mean, okay, the World Championship deck used something similar to this. I think it's gonna be good. No, I'm sure this card is going to be dangerous. So if this thing is sitting on the bench, I am extremely afraid. Because whatever can use these lightning energies is going to come get me. And Raikou, it's kind of like the Entei right now. Better than average basic Pokemon. So ability is that if there's lightning energies attached to a lightning Pokemon, it's like, of course. It's like, duh. But you take 20 less damage. That's like a free hard charm. So it's tougher than, I guess, most non-EX Pokemons. We'll just put it that way. And Thunderlance, it's Keldeo again, man, guys. So the more lightning energies to attach to it, the harder it hits. And hey, with Magnus, though, you can just overload it and it'll start KOing stuff. And it's already tough, too. So I think this card's dangerous. Not super dangerous, but dangerous. Okay, so we got Mewtwo. Oh, hey, there you are again. But, you know, you look a little different. You got a little different attacks. No, guys, I like this one better. Burst Ball does 30 damage for every Psychic energy, so it's kind of like Lucario. 1 energy, 30 damage. 2 energy, 60 damage. 3 energies, 90 damage, KO potential, and Juxtapose. If you severely wound but not destroy Mewtwo, it can just completely heal itself and put those damage counters on you. So you have to be careful on how you damage this thing, because it's got a very neat ability. So if I saw this, yes, I'm afraid. And if I saw this, I'm afraid too, because this is a really good version of the Lugia that we have right now, or the older Mewtwo, depending on how you see it. More energies attached to you and your opponent, the more damage it does. But the scaling is much higher than anything we've seen. 30 for energy, so 6, or maybe if you're enhancing damage somehow, but let's just say 6. That's KO potential right there, and if anything can one-shot stuff, this thing can. I'm afraid of anything that can one-shot, that's what I'm trying to say. So, yes, this is a good card. So, Miss Magnus. This is a weird card because if you're going against your opponent and your opponent has this, they have to be losing, but you can shrink. It could shrink your hand so you can have 3 cards left, and that's always bad. But you know, I think I like Ace Trainer because you also get a reshuffle. You get more cards in your hand, but there might be some way to pull this off. Well, just keep in the back of my mind. But if it showed up and this effect worked, I wouldn't like it at all. So there we go. Cresselia. I'm not gonna even talk about it. I mean, it looks nice. It just doesn't do anything special. Sorry, Cresselia. And Marowak. Okay, this is a bit weird. It's a bit weird. Now, it's cheap. Its second attack, we're not going to worry about its first one. Second attack, if you're using an EX Pokemon and you weren't against this, you'd be forced to switch it with something else. And the Marowak user would have the choice. So, it's annoying. 60 damage is annoying. It's just weird because you're not really going anywhere with this. Maybe. So, this is a weird card. Now, Marowak Break. Basically, if the Marowak user is losing for 2 energies, this thing would do an insane amount of damage. Now, you have to be losing a lot of prize cards down, so it has to be like, it can't be just 1 or 2 prize cards to meet the condition. It has to be a bunch, like 3, 4. You're almost gone, and then it becomes a threat. So, not too worried about this. It's like, unless this condition meets, then we're screwed. Okay, now Mamoswine. No, not really cool enough. I'm gonna talk about it anyways because you know it has ability. It's strong. It takes less damage from fire and water Pokemon, and if there's a stadium in play, depending who controls it, it does more damage. Great. Or it can heal itself. Great. It's still not cool. It's just big numbers. Not cool. Okay, now Gallade. Oh yes. Here we go. Premonition. Look at the next 5 cards. Put them in whichever suit your need the best, and its attack can fit into any deck. Colorless. Does 130 damage as long as you play a supporter. You always play a supporter every turn. So this thing, I'm excited about this thing. This one's good. This one's good, guys. Now Veltal. Now let's just say let's just go if I were to play against this. If I were to see this, it would disable my own Pokemon tools, which I wouldn't like. And it does 60 damage to me. Okay, but it does 60 damage to one of my EX Pokemon sitting on the bench. So if this thing was allowed to go crazy, I'd be afraid. I'd be afraid. So let's just put this on the I'd be afraid level. Although pulling it off is iffy. I don't know. So, Brazil, you're not cool enough, man. We have Megagali. This thing, 3 damage counters on all your opponent's Pokemon that are already hurt. Let's just use Megagali. He's a lot cooler than this thing. So, bye-bye. Now, Mr. Mime. Oh, you're back again. What? You're fairy type now? Like, what happened? Why didn't you say psychic? But is Mr. Mime back again? Protects your Pokemon from bench damage, and that always has some strategic value. So, there we go. And Aromatisse. Now, the only good attack is this first one where you can confuse your opponent 50% to, well, hit or miss. But if it misses, instead of taking 3 damage, they take 6. But your opponent has the choice to not attack or not. And so if you win against this, you have a choice to not attack or do so. So it can be easily managed. No. Nope, sorry. Dodrio, free retreat. Always nice. So 2 of these on your bench. I mean, I love free retreat. It's like having a float stone on all your Pokemon. So, yeah. Awesome card. Staraptor. Boring card. Big numbers. Big energy cost. Nothing special. Alright, we're almost done, guys. Heavy Ball is going to make some decks pretty good. Like, depends on which cards you're looking at. Like, if it's... Well, basically, if your deck is full of heavy Pokemons with 3 or more retreat costs, this card's awesome. Otherwise, man. So, okay. Assault Vest. This is a bit of a hit or miss. Special energies are very popular, and this thing was attached. Yeah, it'd make your Pokemon really tough. So, it's niche card. Niche cards have great effects against their situation, but you know the reliability. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how consistent this is. But I'm expecting, not gonna go. Giovanni, leader of Team Rocket. I haven't seen him in a while, but okay. Versatile cards. I've always loved versatile cards. So both effects can have a game-checking cheating effect. So first one is like a mini Bianca, mini Shaman. You get to draw up to 5 cards. That's kind of like Octillery. And you get to use Octillery over, so he's better than Octillery is better than the boss of Team Rocket. There you go. Now 20 damage. That's, I don't know. I guess it stacks with Muscle Band. Sometimes it may just make or break the game, saying that lets you get the knockout. So you know Giovanni's definitely gonna have his day someday, somewhere. So I think it's a good card. I think it's a good card. Burning Energy. Fire Pokemons are all gonna love this because most of them have an attack that makes them discard an energy. This thing, you can just put it right back on them. So, like that Houndoom, infinitely spamming 160 damage. Yes, yes. So we have made it through all the cards. Those are gonna come out in 3 weeks. I'm excited. So, I hope you like the review, Integrals and Differentials. And, well, that's it for now. I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow for Bibero. Bye-bye.